Let me ask a very, very practical kind of consideration or question. I mean, David Liss, when he says MoCA is the local to international connection for living Canadian artists, I mean, that's a very, very credible claim. How involved is the living, contemporary, creative community with the AGO?
An institution like that's very funny. In the following sense, an institution like the AGO can never satisfy the needs of the creative community, right? In fact, it's sort of part of the job description of being an artist that you have to actually find some fault, which is why they haven't been reading their job description so well these days, because they sort of like the AGO. But, there is a tension always between the notion of the authority of the institution that recognizes and the artist who is completely, I believe, ambivalent about being recognized in that way. And so that tension exists, that you want something, but that you don't really want to admit that the institution can give it to you. And so you're going like this. MoCA doesn't have that because it's more in the street and all the rest. Now, I grew up with a father who picketed in front of the AGO, right, who believed the AGO was hopeless at representing the needs of artists. And I grew up with a father who used to say to me, and this was a very profound learning for me, I spend 95% of my time thinking about what to do, and 5% of my time doing it.
Great luxury.
And, that stayed with me, and, it's sort of like what happened with the Transformation AGO. I mean, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what to do before we think about Frank Gehry. We didn't actually share a design for the building until we were 2.5 years into the project.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to figure out how to make the inside work. And so what I'm saying is, I'm off, except I'll come back, which is the artist is always suspicious of the AGO and questioning of it. At the same time, I believe that the AGO only comes alive when contemporary artists bring it alive.
You're on record with the stated goal that you want to make the AGO the absolutely best art museum in North America. That's not true?
Sounds good to me, yeah.
What would that look like? What would have to happen for you to know that you've achieved that goal?
There are many measures on that. Kelly McKinley, who's the head of education at the AGO, just gave the keynote address at the North American Educators Conference, and we've been inundated with emails afterwards about the bar that we've set for the visitor experience in a new museum. The director of Tate Britain said that we set a new standard for interpretation and presentation of art in galleries, and that they have to learn from us. That's part of it, okay? In other words, what your peers say. Then what artists say. In other words, that they can see their work in that space, and they think that the way in which we're going to present their work can give it meaning that they can't perhaps think of in other places. I don't think there's one single measurable, right? It was extraordinary, and maybe even a bit surprising, how well the building was received critically as soon as we opened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was really quite wonderful. And that was meaningful, because you knew you had a shot at it. But in the end, okay, so I've warmed up, now I'll answer your question. So I think that it's, you will know we've made it when we can sustain it over a period of time. When we've actually created a program over 3 years that is exciting, drawing increasing numbers of visitors, evidently contributing to the literature, right? The dialogue around ideas in the art world, and that we can sustain it for, let's say, 3 years. Then I'll know we've made it. Our blip now is a great start, and now we have to figure out how to sustain it.
Last question. This isn't the only honor you've received recently. The French reached out and bestowed upon you the Chevalier des Arts et des Lettres. True. My final question is, do you and Jerry Lewis correspond about what's that like?
Well, it's pretty incredible. Some of his best stuff he got from me.
Listen, Matthew Teitelbaum, it's a great pleasure. I really want to thank you for this conversation. And on behalf of the entire audience, I want to extend heartfelt congratulations. It's been fantastic. Dave is going to close things off.
Thank you very much.
Matthew Teitelbaum, stand up.
Where do
There
we-
he is, Matthew Teitelbaum.